Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Team Effectiveness. What is it anyway? Hosted by HRDQ-U and presented by Keera Godfrey. My name is Sarah, and I will moderate today's webinar. The webinar will last about an hour. If you have any questions, you can type them right into the chat window on your GoToWebinar control panel, and then we'll either answer those questions as they come in live, or at the end of the presentation, we'll reply back by email. Our presenter today is Keera Godfrey. With 15 years experience, Keera is a change management and training consultant helping organizations connect, build, and invest in their greatest assets, people. Whether re-engineering business processes, implementing a new information system, or augmenting staff, taking care of people is critical to success. In 2010, Keera founded Naris Communications, a company that specializes in designing training programs, developing stakeholder communications, and delivering leadership training to support organizational transformation, performance improvement, and information system implementations. Welcome, Keera, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Sarah, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. So as Sarah mentioned, we're going to talk about a very important subject that in some cases can make the difference between success and failure. Today's presentation is about team effectiveness. So let's just get started with our agenda. So here are our agenda items for today. Today we're going to talk about what is team effectiveness. What is the profile that's used to measure team effectiveness? We're also going to talk about some of the benefits of using the profile. We're going to talk about an ideal team. And we're also going to introduce to you the concept of the elements of CARE, which is an acronym for a team-based training program. And at the end, if we have time, we'll definitely take your questions. So I'm sure if I ask you today if you have been on a team, if you have led a team, or have created a team, all of you would say yes. And if I asked you about your belief about the value of the team to your success or to the organization's success, and your response may vary. According to a survey conducted by the Center for Creative Leadership, 91% of respondents agreed with the statement, teams are central to organizational success. And then 87% said that our teams collaborating with other teams is essential for success. So we see here the potential correlation between teams and success. So let's learn a little more about what is needed to measure a successful team and also how to achieve one. The team effectiveness profile is a diagnostic instrument. Yes, it's offered by HRDQ, and that instrument is designed to assist groups in improving their output and work satisfaction. So it also includes 50 items are presented in the profile and is for rating on a 5-point scale. And by rating each of these items, the respondents express their opinions about how the group functions. So when respondents share their perceptions with other members of the group, a useful diagnosis of the group's effectiveness may be developed. So based on the results of the profile, you can design various learning strategies to deal with the most significant issues affecting the group's, the work that is performed within the group, and which can lead to, of course, like we said, improved output and group member satisfaction as well. Let's talk a little bit about the history of the profile. The original profile was first used and published in 1980 with the purpose to assist the groups in raising and confronting blockages to its performance. So the 1980 profile contained 28 Likert type scale related questions and in 4 categories. These categories were planning and goal setting, group member roles and relationships, group operating processes, as well as interpersonal relationships. The group members were asked to, or are asked to rate individually on the 5-point scale, and that ranged from unsatisfactory to excellent. So since then, the concept of a group working through blockages to its own performance has received attention from several authors and researchers. Some researchers, for example, view team building as the careful working through of all blockages until a group becomes a team. The concept is by grappling with specific hindrances to performance, a group can continue to learn new skills, share relevant information, build trust, and grow in maturity by taking interpersonal risks with each other and resolving previously undiscussable issues. Other researchers believe that team building means taking deliberate action to identify and remove barriers to effective teamwork and to replace them with the kind of sound behaviors that can lead to superlative performance. So today, several improvements have been made to the team effectiveness profile. So the profile now assists teams in identifying potential blockages to performance by measuring the extent to which teams engage in 5 categories of team effectiveness. These are the mission, vision, and goals, team roles, operating processes, interpersonal relationships, as well as inter-team relationships. So let's start with the first one. Healthy organizations and their subsystems have compelling visions of the future and clearly defined, as well as clearly well communicated statements of purpose. Plans are developed collaboratively, and work is managed against goals and objectives. When priorities are revised, the need for change is discussed and agreed to by the entire group. So organizations that experience blockages in this general activity often do not have a clear vision of their future, nor have they devoted the time or energy to developing a clear definition of the purpose or the reason for being. Why was the group formed in the first place? So in the profile, there are several questions that's asked that the respondents are giving their opinions to on the 5-point scale as to whether they agree. Let's go on to the next category, which is team roles. In highly effective groups, work is organized to support the group's functions. So roles and relationships and accountabilities are clear to everyone. Members are technically qualified to perform their jobs and have immediate plans for acquiring needed knowledge and skills. So again, we're talking about the team roles in effective teams. And so the profile really looks at how are team roles defined and how are the team members aware of and have accountability to the roles that they are assigned in the team. So in an inappropriately structured group or one in which the members have unclear or confused perceptions about their roles and responsibilities, the group can lose considerable energy in performing its tasks. And then when we look at the operating processes, again, these are the sections within the components within the team effectiveness profile. So the policies and procedures used to manage the work of the group support both the task and the maintenance needs. So when we talk about task needs within a team, we're referring to the activities required to accomplish work objectives. And then when we talk about the maintenance needs within a team, we are referring to the human needs, the need for recognition, the need for participation, the need for appreciation, as well as the general quality of group life. Operating processes include activities such as the problem solving, the decision making, the conflict management, and the meeting quality. So when we are assessing a team, we are essentially assessing all these various factors. Interpersonal relationships also is a factor within an effective team. So for effective teamwork to occur, the interpersonal relationships must be high quality. Each group member needs to be fully interactive with each other as a group. A high level of trust is required if problems are to be solved and group work is to be satisfying. Ineffective groups have poor interpersonal relationships. Members may be cautious in their disclosures and unwilling to take interpersonal risks. And I'm sure many of us have been on a team and we've experienced that as well. When there is also ineffective group, the constructive feedback may not be an operating norm. So until all of the interpersonal relationships are dealt with, it will be totally impossible for a group to function effectively and solve problems as an authentic team. So as we're looking at a team building, as we're looking at the profile, the team effectiveness profile, we want to be able to measure the interpersonal relationships and the quality of those relationships. So the last element within the team effectiveness profile, the last component is inter-team relationships. Some researchers, Burkhardt actually, in 1969, he observed that one of the most serious drains on organizational energy results when departments or divisions of the same organizations compete inappropriately. So as a team, the various teams are not working together within an organization. So win-lose situations need to be changed to win-win situations. So groups sometimes need outside help in developing more productive and satisfying intergroup relationships. So problems of intergroup relationships or inter-team relationships arise as an organization's work becomes more differentiated. So the more specialized various work groups become, the more difficult the problems of coordination become. And we definitely want to be aware of that as we're working through our teams and evaluating our teams. And so one of the things I wanted to do for this presentation is to make it interactive. So I know it's after 2 o'clock, it's almost 3 o'clock. So I hope you had your coffee. And so what I want to do now is if you can participate in a poll, it's a little bit of a test your knowledge. And so for this one, I went over the 5 components. So I want you to tell me which is not one of the 5 components of the team effectiveness profile. Is it A, team roles, B, mission, vision, goals, C, inter-team relationships, or D, administrative processes? Using the poll, please provide your answer. All right. Okay, let's see. I see some answers there. About 93% of people are saying it's D. Let's see the right answer. And you are right. The correct answer is D. And remember, it should be operating processes, which includes the task needs as well as the maintenance needs. So good job. Thank you so much for participating. So let's move on. We have a few more of those, so pay attention. All right, so let's talk about some of the uses and applications. So the profile is a self-administered learning instrument, and it's available in print and also on there's an online version to it. It yields an overall team effectiveness score as well as separate scores for each of the 5 categories of team effectiveness, indicating the general health of the group and also blockages that may hinder team effectiveness. So if administered through HRDQ's assessment portal, there is an additional option of audio generating a group aggregate report, and which is very helpful as you're working through removing blockages within the team. So teams can create this manually if the print version is used. So here are some applications to it. So the team effectiveness profile is most appropriate for intact work groups, groups that have some history of working together. It can also be used to prepare a newly formed group for the kinds of issues that may block its success in the future. You can also use it to measure performance before and after a team building initiatives. You can get a baseline using it before. And then also, if you have a struggling or team, you can use it to unblock those issues, to reveal those issues, and then also to develop programs to unblock them. And then also it can be used, as I said, for orienting new team to potential problems, letting them know, hey, this is what you may experience, so you can be proactive about counteracting what they may experience in the future. So I introduced the team effectiveness profile, which I said is the team measuring tool. Now I would like to talk to you about a team intervention program that can help remove the blockages identified in the TEP, the team effectiveness profile. So this is an introduction to the concept of care. So please contact your HRDQ representative to learn more about obtaining the full training program for care. So clearly, teams are a vital part of almost every organization, which are depending on them to use resources more effectively, solve problems, be more creative, and provide greater productivity than an individual employee working alone. So the goal of every team is to perform at its highest level. And the secret to achieving high performance is this: having team members who care. Care in the literal sense, as well as in the sense of the acronym for the following traits: communication, ability, results, esprit de corps. These 4 traits are the foundation of team excellence. You will find these are practical strategies as you go through this, as well as taking the full training on this. There are practical strategies for developing each trait as you take the program. So let's talk about those. I want to introduce those to you now. Communication. So let's talk about the ideal team. As we talk about in the relationship to communication. So in an ideal team, every team member talks and listens more or less equally. So it's an equal balance between talking and listening among themselves as well. Comments are short and they're to the point. Team members display energy through their gestures and their tone of voice, and they tend to face each other when they speak. Also, team members connect with everyone on their team, not just their own team leader. Again, we're talking about the ideal team of what do you want to experience as it relates to communication. Team members engage in ongoing conversations outside of the formal meetings and or their channels of communication. So some team members seek and bring back information from outside the team. So it's wonderful if you experience these, or if you see these things happening, or if you don't see these things happening on your team, then it's a wonderful indicator as to where you are. And again, taking the profile will help you. So we talked about the ideal team. Let's talk about the ideal team member. Do you have these characteristics? So the MIT Human Dynamics Lab calls the ideal team member a charismatic connector. And the general consensus is that the more of them a team has, the more successful it is. So let's see what kind of traits this person has. So the ideal team member engages others in short, high-energy conversations. They communicate with everyone on the team equally, again, using an equal balance of listening as well as speaking. Then this team member also helps make sure everyone is given a chance to contribute. This person listens as much as he or she talks. So being a raging extrovert isn't necessary. And also being on the other end of being an extreme introvert also may cause problems there as well. So again, we're talking about the ideal team member having a balance. So let's talk about some elements again. Again, we're still under communication. So on high performing teams, members talk and listen in equal amounts. So listening involves more than just hearing the words. It usually takes concentration and attention. So in order to be a great listener, you have to listen to what is being said, the actual words, listen for how it's said, the tone of voice, the body language, the emotion. Listen for what is not being said. Is there, what's not being said? Is there something else not being considered? Is there a sensitive or an ethical or an unethical issue that isn't being raised? So analyze the overall message. When you listen for what is said and how it is said, you can interpret the message more easily. So ask yourself, are the words and the body language congruent? Does something not add up, or does something not make sense? So again, talk and listen equally. The next one under communication these are communication characteristics of a high performing team, is to display energy. There are several things you can do to display energy when you speak. Even if you don't have the natural energy for the work, it will be created simply if you just ask yourself, act as if you have this energy. Display energy by incorporating these few little tips below. Be passionate about what you're doing, create a positive environment. And you can do that if some team members are always voicing negative thoughts and feelings. It makes it difficult for other team members to remain positive or energetic. So to neutralize this, a tip can be for every negative thought or feeling voice, you contribute something positive to encourage others to do so and encourage others to do as well. So vary the pitch of your voice and or increase the pace in which you speak. That can also help bring energy into the room. Use an energetic body movement. It includes movement that is bold and convincing, not rigid and intense or tense. And then, of course, another one that we've always heard is to use eye contact. Energy is conveyed through direct, but not unremitting eye contact. Again, talking about communication within effective teams. And the third communication characteristic of effective teams is that each team member connects with each other, with the other team members. So strong team members connect with everyone on their team, not just the leader, like we talked about. So the easiest way to connect with others is to ask questions. And you can load yourself up with questions. So if you want to uncover assumptions, you can ask something like, what are you assuming in this situation? You seem to be assuming something, and you say what it is, and you say, is that correct? So again, asking questions. You can use questions again to gain understanding. If you want to gain understanding of something, then ask, how does this relate to our problem or our issue? Or what is your main point? And it's how you say it. You don't say, what is your main point? Or what's your point? Not like that. We're saying, what is your main point? You've expressed a lot, and I hear you. And I'm trying to get to what's your main point here. I really want to understand. Another one you can do to ask questions is to seek input and perspectives, or opinions. And you can do that by asking questions such as, how do you feel about, and you say whatever situation that is. And you can also use questions to explore evidence or consequences. How can we find more about, or what effect would this have on this situation? So there are ways you can connect with every team member and in various situations just by asking questions. So let's move on to the fourth one, which is converse informally. So high-performing teams engage in ongoing conversations, even outside of the formal meetings and or channels of communication. So there are benefits to conversing informally, which are develop and strengthen personal relationships. Also, you can find some common interests and connections. You could toss around some ideas for dealing with problems at work, and sometimes dealing with those things and talking about them outside of work can be very impactful. And then here are some things just to avoid as we're talking about conversing informally. Gossip. Talking about others behind their backs is always counterproductive. Don't say anything about someone that you won't say directly to him or her. And then also advocating extreme views. Often these are political views or religious views, but they can also be philosophical views of work or life that create separation rather than connection. So here's another opportunity for you to test your knowledge. We talked about communication. And so which of the following is true of a high-performing team? A, there is one strong leader who dominates the group. B, team members mostly use electronic means to communicate in order to save time. C, team members make a point of to connect with every other team member. Or D, team members focus exclusively on their own team. What do you think? All right. Nice. Okay. Thank you. Okay. See, there is definitely a 97% of people think it's C. Let's see if you guys are correct. You are correct. It is C. So high-performing teams, in these teams, the team members make a point to connect with every other team member. Wonderful. All right, let's move on to A, which is ability. Again, this is the acronym for CARE. So we finished C, which is communication, and now we're on A, which is ability. All right, so the second aspect of CARE is ability. The goal of ability is to create the synergy within the team. So the definition that we're using for synergy here is working together of two or more things to produce a result greater than the sum of their individual effects. It comes from a Greek word, the synergia, which means working together. So how do you create this type of synergy that we're looking for? Creating the synergy means understanding that group ability is more important than the individual talent. We're working together as a team here. And you can always heard that phrase, there's no I in team. and this in essence is true. If you're trying to achieve that synergy, then you want to realize that. So to maximize the group ability, know more of your own skills and experience, where your skills and experience are needed and more effective, and what other team members can do better than you. To better understand the skills and abilities of other team members, you just, again, ask questions. What are my strengths, or how can I use my strengths to contribute to the team? And perhaps more importantly, know the work that the other team members must do. This will never be static, so you're going to have to review this periodically, looking at your skills compared to other skills and really seeing how you're going to build that synergy. So as we look at all of this and we talk about the goal of the synergy, and we just went through these here, we want to make sure that we're seeing the entire picture. We're seeing, in lack of a better term, the trees as well as the forest, but you're looking at trying to get the big view of how is it that this team is going to perform? What are the individual trees? How do they contribute to the forest? And that's what you're going to have to do to maximize that group ability. So looking at your skills as well as the skills of your team member. So let's talk about some key considerations when assembling your team. So you want to keep the business needs in mind as you assign team responsibilities to individual members. For example, an individual may excel more at one task, but decide which would be enable them to do something on the team or organization that meets its goals. So they have multiple tasks, but which one do they need? Or they have multiple skills. Which one would really, of that team member skills, which one would really impact more on this team? Consider what training is necessary for individuals and for the team as a whole to provide the skills needed for the team to achieve its goals. So direct your effort towards putting employees in situations and tasks that play to the employee's strengths more than focusing on making them improve their weaknesses. So again, you're looking at the strengths, you're looking at the skills, and you're seeing how you're going to build this synergy. Or you can do something like pair up team members in complementary ways. For example, so pair a stronger innovator. Somebody on your team may be an innovator, and then somebody on your team may be a strong implementer. So, which is a person, somebody creates ideas, but then you need a person who knows how to follow through on ideas as well. So try to assign tasks and projects that appeal to the individual interests. So they will no doubt do a better job, not to mention be more satisfied if it appeals to their interest. Also, here, there's some other considerations. Let people try new things and explore new work so that you can uncover hidden talent or develop a natural skill. Team members may surprise others with previously undiscoverable undiscovered talent. So once you have determined the strengths of team members, put them together to maximize productivity and results. You accomplish this easily by building a diverse team, one with different strengths and weaknesses. The breadth of skills and experience will promote more creative problem solving, again, having this diversity on your team, various skills. Okay, let's go again. Let's test your knowledge. Which of the following best describes what to consider when assembling your team? A, have team members with similar skills work together. B, let people try new things and explore new work so that they may uncover a hidden talent or develop a natural skill. C, make team members work on those activities that they are most familiar with, whether or not they appeal to their personal interest. Or D, work on improving team members' weaknesses more than playing to their strengths. So which of the following best describes what to consider when assembling a team? I think that was an easy one. I need to make these questions a little harder. Wonderful. So perfect. All right. You got it. You guys are really good here. So the correct answer is B. So 90% of you got that right. So if you want to, while you're assembling your team, let people try new things and explore new work so that they may uncover a hidden talent or develop a natural skill. All right, let's move on here to results. Again, CARE, C-A-R-E, and we are on R, results. All right, so the third aspect of CARE is results. Many teams equate results with goal setting. However, if there's too much emphasis on the goal itself or if the goal is not clear, the actual result may suffer. Many managers believe that employees and teams need extrinsic motivation, such as setting specific goals in order to persuade employees to work hard. And in some cases, that is true. However, a study by Maurice Skelcher, a professor at Wharton, he showed that setting goals may actually reduce intrinsic motivation. So to help ensure that our goals don't derail our team's success, I want to talk to you about some how to avoid some goal setting mistakes. So one of the goal setting mistakes can be, again, too many goals. This mistake can make it difficult for a team to prioritize the work because there's so many goals. Many teams may also see each goal as just something else to check off the list, as opposed to something in addition to being completed that should be of high quality. Furthermore, as we look at the aspect of too many goals, it may be difficult to the goal accomplishment, especially as you reward recognition, have a reward and recognition system, because there are so many different goals, so you can't really focus on your reward and recognition. And also, a goal setting mistake can be irrelevant or meaningless goals. And I'm sure many of you have experienced that. So this mistake, however, can cause teams to become cynical about achieving any goals, or at least they may be suspicious that goals exist just to create extra work and to make someone else look good. And again, that may seem like, oh, of course, that doesn't happen in the workplace. Yes, it does. So another goal setting mistake is the goals are unrealistic or unachievable. So this mistake can cause teams to take extreme measures, sometimes even unethical, in order to achieve a goal. And so, for example, we have experienced that, for example, the Enron, the energy company, they collapsed many of you remember that, in 2002, and it created goals strictly based on revenue generated, or no matter whether the revenue was actually real or profitable. So when you have this, these unrealistic goals or is unachievable, it really becomes, sometimes it causes people to do unethical things to achieve those. And then also another goal setting mistake is focus too much on the process. So this mistake can cause teams to spend too much time on goal setting and tracking. And I know many of you, we got to track it. We need a scorecard. We got to track it. And so you spend so much time on tracking and not enough time, focusing on the true evaluation, looking at where are we and how to move on and how to make better decisions and do some continuous improvement, but you get stuck on the tracking of the process in itself. And so here are some tips for successful goal setting. So one of the tips is to conduct a vision exercise. This exercise it can really add value to your team. So also focus your goals on personal growth rather than a financial gain. Focus attention on helping the best performers achieve even higher levels of performance. You should also have your goals provide average performers with coaching and mentoring to help them improve. And again, we talked about this, is pairing them with a high-level performer as well. That's pretty effective. And also consider reviewing the roles of the borderline performers on your team to find a better fit that will help them or allow them to reach their high performance levels. All right, here we go again. Which goal setting mistake can cause a team to become cynical about achieving any goals? Which one did I talk about that causes them to become cynical? A, too many goals. B, too specific goals. C, unrealistic or unachievable goals. Or D, irrelevant, meaningless goals. Which one? Oh, I see by the scores there's a lot more. I don't see any 90s here. I don't see any 80s. So it's definitely a little more challenging. Okay. Oh, all right. Many of you, 44% has C, which is unrealistic, unachievable goals. The correct answer is D. Irrelevant and meaningless goals can cause people to become cynical about achieving any goals. All right. All right, so let's talk about the last one, the E in care, the esprit de corps. So when we look at this, the last aspect of the high-performing team acronym CARE is esprit de corps. The definition is a sense of unity of common interests and responsibilities as developed among persons closely associated in a task or a cause or an enterprise. So in teams where you find high esprit de corps, you find ownership, integrity, connectedness, and also you find confidence. So when you find this ownership, you know it exists because the team members know what to do, but they do not have to be told how to do it. The focus is on the contribution to the team rather than personal gain. When you see this integrity, the team members trust one another. They are honest with one another. There's an environment where it is safe to disagree, and that's okay. And so when you see this, again, your ownership and integrity, you know that you're on the right track and you're achieving this concept of esprit de corps. So the last two elements of esprit de corps are connectedness and also confidence. When you see this connectedness, you also see where team members keep their eyes and ears open to what is going on throughout the team. So every member of the team, they're looking around, they're knowing what's going on, they know each person, they're connected. The team members, they show concern for one another. If someone is sick, they're finding out, well, what happened, or glad to see you back, or they make a personal phone call to find out what's happening. When things go wrong, team members react to show support for one another, and they're not necessarily placing blame. So there's a support system there. And the last element here is confidence. And when this confidence shows up, the team members, is reflected in their cheerfulness and friendliness and optimism, all the qualities that draw others in. Also, the confident team members, they take their work seriously, but they don't take themselves seriously. And that's important, especially when you're developing relationships and having this connectedness and confidence within a team. So in high performance teams, they pursue contacts and connections outside of their core groups in order to bring in new ideas and creativity. And that is very much so important as we're working within our teams. So teams with this esprit de corps are willing to teach and learn from one another. They want to stretch their skills and increase their cross-functional contributions. In other words, they have a desire to always improve. So one of the best ways to do that is to bring ideas from the outside of the group and try them in new ways. So Clay Christensen, and he's the author of The Innovator's Dilemma, calls this associational thinking. It's taking unrelated ideas and repurposing them in new ways. So for example, so Bill Skilberman, he's the co-founder of the visual social network Pinterest. He patented the visual appeal of the website based on how he collected insects in his youth. So you're taking something from outside and you're like, okay, how can I repurpose this? How can we use this concept to build something that was going to help the team? So here's our last question here. So which of the following best advice for developing effective team building activities? So we talked all about teams and team building. We talked about care. We talked about the profile. So which of the following do you think is the best advice for developing an effective team building activities? A, consider what challenges the team is facing and develop an activity to address them. B, don't be afraid of doing embarrassing activities because it's all in good fun. Or C, choose any activity that gets the team members away from work. They will always appreciate the time off. Or D, use team building activities to turn around a team with low morale. So if the team has low morale, we just need a team building activity. What do you think? Okay. All right. I see an 83%. Oh, it's going down. Let's see. Okay. 78%. All right. Let's see. 78% said A. Let me see if you're correct. And you are. So one of the best ways, my best advice for developing effective team building activities is, yes, to consider what challenges are the teams facing. And again, using the profile, you can actually get some analytics on where your team, and then develop an activity that addresses those challenges. So let's move on to talk about how to use the team effectiveness profile to achieve care. Let's put it all together. So the team effectiveness profile, again, is a diagnostic tool, and it helps you to improve a team's output as well as the work satisfaction. So under normal circumstances, issues that block a team's effectiveness may not be apparent. So issues that remain undisclosed can drain a group's energy and undermine its productive efforts. The team effectiveness profile was developed to help groups systematically identify those issues. And then once you identify those issues, you can use the concept of care to now work through and to build the team as you're going through it. And then also, like we talked about, is adding those team building activities in there as well. And then once you look at that and you create that program and you start working on those areas, then you can also then redo or retake the team effectiveness profiles, and then you can get to track the progress that your team is making along the way. So in summary here, again, use the team effectiveness profile to assess your team's health. Use the elements of care that can be implemented to strengthen the team effectiveness as well as performance. And then also conduct informal and formal assessments to monitor your team effectiveness. I know I shared a lot with you today, and I just thank you for your time. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Sarah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Keera. If you have any questions for Keera, go ahead and send those in, and we'll take a look at those, and we'll reply back to the group by email. So go ahead and type in any of those questions that you might have. While those come in, consider looking to HRDQ for your training needs. We publish research-based experiential learning products that you can deliver in your organization. Check out our online or print self-assessments, our up out of your seat games, our reproducible workshops you can customize, and more, whether at our website or you can give a call to our customer service team. And if you do need help either learning a training program or you want one of our expert trainers to deliver it for you, we also provide those services. We look forward to being your soft skills training resource. That's all the time we have today. Thank you so much, Keera, for sharing your expertise.
Thank you.
And thanks everyone for participating in our webinar, and happy training.